Ninth round of ABA League saw two winning streaks come to an end. Budućnost suffered a defeat in Pionir and Megalex in Zagreb. The new league leader is Crvena Zvezda. The reigning champions were triumphant in Skopje. Introducing league's MVP of the month, Suad Šehović. We saved the best for last. It's the top 5 plays of the round. After parting ways with Tomislav Zubčić, Cedevita added some front-court muscle with former Kansas University student Henry Walker. After 26 NBA games, scoring 7.4 points per game for Miami Heat, the 28-year-old American will play his first professional season of European basketball in Zagreb. Partizan also brought in some reinforcements. The black and white team searched long and hard for the right point guard, and they have found one in Jamar Wilson. Well-traveled New Yorker played in Belgium, Finland, Australia and spent parts of the previous season in France. Wilson is a member of the Finnish national team and played an important role at this year's Eurobasket. It's bad news for Metalac faithful. The team's best player, Đorđe Majstorović, fractured his hand in practice and will be out for the next 2 months. Metalac is not looking for a replacement. Coach Đokić will have to rely on the players already at his disposal. With the victory over MZT in Skopje, Crvena Zvezda regained the top spot in ABA League. The red and whites started off well in the sold-out Jane Sandanski Arena. Taking advantage of the hosts' turnovers, the guests from Belgrade gained a significant lead through Ryan Thompson in the early stages of the game. But the final minutes of the first quarter would belong to the hosts, who went on a 13-2 run. MZT last held the lead at the beginning of the second period. An improved defense by Crvena Zvezda held the hosts to only 9 points in the second period. Dejan Radonjić's team raced to a double-digit lead, with Quincy Miller leading the way, scoring 12 out of his 13 points in this period alone. The halftime score was 40-29. An opportunity presented itself for the hosts at the beginning of the third period, but there would be no comeback. The defending champions blew the door down on the Macedonian fortress, needing only 3 minutes to get a 15-point lead. MZT never gave up, but the home team could only reduce the deficit to 5 near the end of the match. However, in crunch time, which saw numerous free throws, Crvena Zvezda avoided a thriller, ending largely thanks to Stefan Jovic. The game's MVP scored 17 points, grabbed 4 rebounds and dished out 7 assists. Vladimir Štimac added 12 points, but missed all of 6 of his free throws. The best player in the Skopje outfit was Đorđe Drenovac, who was also the game's top scorer with 19 points. Worth mentioning were Bunic with 14 and Ljubicic with 12 points, but a 39% field goal percentage and 15 turnovers led to MZT's first defeat at home this season. After the third consecutive victory, Crvena Zvezda is back at the top of the standings in the regional championship. Partizan managed to end Budućnost's winning streak at 6 games. This was a very important victory for the black and white team after suffering 3 defeats. The game started as was expected, and the 4,500 viewers in the Pionir Hall could never have imagined what was to come next. The team from Podgorica, Montenegro scored 6 3-pointers out of 9 attempts. Cook and Joseph hit 3 each. However, by the end of the game, the guests managed to add only 2 more to the tally. They would finish the game with the same number of 2 and 3-point field goals. After a double-digit deficit, Partizan scored 9 unanswered points at the start of the second quarter and managed to take the lead 43-41 at the end of the first half. The player who made this all possible was Vanja Marinkovic with his best game so far in this season. Alex Maric got into foul trouble early and gave coach Igor Jovovic a headache. Kevin Jones was in the driver's seat, and with the guards providing support, the Belgrade steamroller finally looked like a well-oiled machine of old. However, during the first 3 minutes of the final quarter, Budućnost scored 7 unanswered points to cut the lead. But even that wasn't enough, thanks to inspired plays by Kevin Jones and Alexander Cvetkovic. The home team reached a game-high 12-point lead, kept the opponent at bay, and got the 3rd win this season. This was also the most efficient game played by the Belgrade's team so far, with 86 points scored. Kevin Jones was instrumental in bringing down the league's leader with 18 points, 8 of which in the final quarter, and 9 rebounds. Alexander Cvetkovic also scored 8 out of his 12 points in the 4th quarter. Marinkovic finished the game with 14 points, Andjušić added 1 less, and Petar Arnautovic scored 12 points, spending most of his minutes on the court at the point guard position. Budućnost suffered its 2nd defeat in Pionir this season after losing to Crvena Zvezda in the 2nd round. Joseph was the top scorer with 15 points, Jaramas added 2 less, while Cook and Dragicevic finished the game with 11 points each. Suad Šehović put up some great numbers for Budućnost in October, earning him the league's MVP of the month honors. Let's hear more from the Montenegrin champion team captain on his path to basketball stardom. As was the case with most of the kids from my neighborhood, I was first introduced to sports at the football pitch and not the basketball court. But after a couple of years, basketball became a prominent sport in my hometown of Bijelo Polje, especially after the World Cup in Indianapolis, when the whole town supported the national team of Yugoslavia. I took up basketball after that, playing in my hometown until the age of 17, when a call came from Bosna, a then well-established ABA League team. Following a notable performance for the national team in the youth ranks over the summer, my brother and I had a successful tryout with the team and signed long-term contracts.
Poslije nekih uspješnih reprezentativnih akcija dobili smo taj poziv I potpisali dugogodišnje ugovore u Bosni.
After spending 5 seasons in Sarajevo with Bosna, Šehović transferred to Olympia following an invite from coach Jure Zdovc.
Novi početak.
I had to start over. I moved to Ukraine, played for Budivelnik, Khimik. When finally a call came from my homeland, I couldn't possibly say no to the greatest club from Montenegro.
Prihvatio I evo 3. sezonu sam već tu.
For the past 3 seasons, Suad Šehović has been regarded as one of the best pure shooters in the league, especially lethal from beyond the three-point line. My whole career has been centered around my shooting skills. I feel more comfortable taking the three-point shot. The high percentage inside the line can be attributed to easy shots I take following a fast break or a backdoor cut. That's where my success comes from. Can't say I'm a fan of driving the lane.
Manje igram sa loptom, ali iz tog razloga su ti visoki procenti za 2 poena.
The team's goal is to make it to the playoffs, but the captain is ready to admit that it won't be a walk in the park for Budućnost.
Svaka 2 boda su, kada se pogleda jednaka, da li dobili
It doesn't matter if it comes at Typhoon or somewhere else. They are all equally important. We can't let our guard down if we want to reach our goal.
Su jednako važna I da će svaki kiks bi mogao da nas udalji nas I druge od cilja.
Šehović highlights the importance of having a regional competition. If there wasn't for ABA League, the teams from Montenegro wouldn't be able to prove their worth in the region and European competitions as well.
pa i u Europi.
How could we compete in
i
Eurocup?
budžeti
How could
ekipe
we
koji
reach the
igraju i
Euroleague?
Eurocup
It's an important
i kako bi
competition for all the teams in the
ekipe
region.
došle do Eurolige da nije ABA lige.
Tough competition brings out quality. Teams improve, players improve rapidly. Every year, a number of young, talented players come out of the ranks of ABA League teams. Every year, a number of players take the step forward and move to bigger clubs and play a prominent role in the Euroleague and the
i na
NBA.
bolje destinacije, u bolje klubove i možemo se sjetiti koliko je igrača svake godine otišlo za stepenicu više i koliko igrača iz klubova koji igraju ABA ligu nastupaju trenutno i u Euroligi i u NBA ligi.
Šehović recalls the highest and the lowest moments of his career so far.
Najdraži možda su
The fondest memory would be beating Serbia twice with the national team, first in Belgrade, then in Podgorica in the European Championship qualifiers. It was probably the greatest moment in the history of the Montenegrin basketball. The lowest point in my career came last year when we were eliminated by Cedevita in the playoffs. We came so close to fulfilling our dream of playing in the Euroleague. We were only a step away from a sensational achievement. Important not only for Montenegrin basketball, but the whole of Montenegro as well. It was a chance for our country to present itself in a better light through sports, through basketball in this case. The failure to do so, I would say, is the toughest moment of my career, without mentioning the injury I suffered, a trial I will never forget, but one I came out even stronger than before.
Vratio možda još jači i to su možda dva trenutka koja su najteže pala.
Plans for the remainder of his career.
Najbolje je razmišljati da
For now, all I think about is helping the team win and fulfill the goals set for his season. I will think about a new contract when this one runs out. There might be an opportunity out there to take a step forward, but I'm happy at Budućnost. I feel at home with the team that gave me so much in my life.
Budućnost mi je dala mnogo i osjećam se super.
Cedevita continued its string of good results in all competitions and in one of the derbies of the round ended Megalex's streak of 5 consecutive victories. The final 10-point margin doesn't paint the real picture since the guests had the chance to return from Zagreb in a much better mood. The hosts had problems of their own, mainly with injuries, since Luka Žorić missed another game and Nemanja Gordić had to leave the court with a sprained ankle at the end of the third period. For the guests, Alpha Kaba made his debut, but to no avail. The lead changed hands in the first period, but Cedevita gained a 4-point advantage thanks to a better shooting percentage. Mega relied heavily on the 3-point shot, but missed most of them, especially in the first half. Dan Milojevic's team did finish the match with 9 3-pointers, but made as many as 34 attempts, with only their top scorer Luvavu showing any precision from the distance. In the beginning of the second period, Cedevita reached a 10-point lead, but the guests managed to cut the deficit in half by the end of the period. In the beginning of the second half, the home team held on to the lead, but eventually paid the price for having too many turnovers. Mega scored a 3-pointer courtesy of Luvavu. Jankovic also added some points, and by the 33rd minute, the youngest team in the league was leading 63-57. At that point, Cedevita made some adjustments on defense and Mega couldn't find an answer for the hosts' zone defense, leading to an 11-0 series for Croatian champions, and the lead which they held on to until the end of the game, winning it 78-68. The standout player in crunch time was Luka Babic, who recorded 18 points, including a crucial 3-pointer, as well as 8 rebounds and 5 assists. Jacob Pullen was particularly creative on offense, recording 6 assists and 17 points. Arapovic scored 15, and the league's most efficient player Miro Bilan was held to only 8 points, but contributed with 11 rebounds and 4 assists. Top scorer for Megalex was Luvavo with 20, while centers Samačiski and Jankovic scored 10 points each. Krka inflicted the first defeat to Igokea at home this season. The guests celebrated in Laktaši with a final score of 65-54. Even without Mirko Mulalic, Krka's players got off to a good start. and reached a double-digit lead in the first period, 19-8, thanks to some great moves by Ive Ivanov. Radivojevic and Komatina gave Igokea an upper hand at the end of the first and midway through the second period. The score at the halftime was 36-34 in Krka's favor. The guests managed to keep the lead at the end of the low-scoring third quarter with a three-pointer by Luka Lapornik. Stefan Sinovec opened the final period with a three-pointer of his own, and with 7 unanswered points, Krka raced to a double-digit lead, 54-46. Krka kept Igokea away and got a much-needed win. Lapornik was the most efficient player with 15 points to his name, while Erion Castrati added 11. Igokea once again struggled with the three-pointers, draining only 5 threes out of 29 attempts. Igokea's top scorer was Komatina with 13, while Radivojevic added 11 points and 6 rebounds. After this win, Krka has a 5-4 record and is settled at the top part of the table, while Igokea, following their first home defeat, sits at 4-5. In the next round, Krka will host Sutjeska in Novo Mesto, while Igokea will travel to Belgrade for a matchup with Crvena Zvezda. Cibona made a historic first-ever visit to Nikšić in a 9th-round matchup with Sutjeska. Slaven Rimac's men broke the Montenegrins' resistance in the final period and recorded a well-deserved victory, 80-68. Cibona's second win in a row and a 5th consecutive defeat for Sutjeska. Teams were evenly matched in the first period. Newcomer Popovic and Spasojevic scored for the hosts, while Cibona was led by Florence and Rozic. Second period continued pretty much the same way. The lead constantly changed hands and was marked by the outstanding Ante Žižić, who scored 12 points in this period alone. Sutjeska stayed in touch thanks to three-pointers by Spasojevic, Korać and Pavlicevic, and at the halftime Cibona's lead was only 44-40. After the break, Cibona improved their defense and stretched the lead to 51-46. In the next 3 minutes, Sutjeska, led by Pavlicevic and Albijanic, made a fantastic 9-0 run. However, Cibona's point guard James Florence responded with 3 consecutive three-pointers, regaining the lead for his team. The Zagreb-based team ended the third period with a 62-59 lead. In the final quarter, Florence and Žižić sparked the Cibona 11-1 run for an insurmountable 9-point lead. Winning team was led by Florence with 26 points and Žižić with 21. In Dusan Dubljevic's team, the only double-digit scorers were Albijanic with 16 and Pavlicevic with 13 points. Bojan Bogdanovic was born in 1989 in Mostar. He started his career with Zrinski, but at the tender age of 16, he signed a 5-year contract with Real Madrid. After the period in Real ended, he joined Cibona. In the 2009-2010 season, he averaged 8 points per game in Adriatic League. He flashed his potential, scoring 4 three-pointers and 18 points against Zadar. Even though he didn't score any points before the overtime of the finals against Partizan, Bogdanovic was on the verge of handing Cibona the trophy with his last-second three-pointer. However, it was the incredible shot by Dusan Kecman that brought the trophy to Belgrade. In the following season, Bogdanovic became one of the league's best players, averaging 19 points, 4 rebounds and 2.5 assists per game. At the beginning of the season, he scored 5 three-pointers for a total of 29 against Hemofarm and then 33 points against Olympia, but Cibona couldn't reach the Final Four. In the summer of 2011, he signed with Fenerbahce, and New Jersey selected him with the 31st pick at the NBA draft. After 3 seasons as the top scorer in Fenerbahce, he joined the Nets. As a rookie, he averaged 9 points per game and managed to demonstrate the killer shot that made him a fan favorite while in ABA League. In a dramatic encounter in Valjevo, Metalac beat Zadar 71-67, ending the home team's series of 2 defeats, and also the more impressive 3-game win streak of the Croatian team. Coaches couldn't count on two very important players. Vladimir Djokic was without his top scorer Đorđe Majstorović, while Ante Nazor missed Drago Pašalić's experience. A quality guests sorely missed. In this very fast-paced encounter, the first period ended with an even 16 points each. In the second period, coach Djokic made a very good move, calling for a 1-3-1 zone defense, testing the guests' three-point prowess. Metalac controlled the paint and played better in transition, taking advantage of the visiting team's mistakes. The energy of Malešević, Jevtović and Rakicević sparked a 14-0 run, and Metalac held the lead 41-27 at the end of the first half. Ante Delaš was in complete control in the third quarter, scoring 12 points, assisted his teammates and sparked a comeback. At the end of the third period, Metalac was up by only 2 points. Zadar managed to grab the lead 59-56 in the final minutes of the last quarter, thanks to Delaš. Malešević stabilized the home team's offense with a series of precise two-pointers, and Zadar missed several chances to make a complete comeback. Kraljevic's and one shot was void, followed by missed free throws. Cozy missed an easy layup on a fast break, and drama ensued. Metalac had an upper hand when it came to free throws, even though both teams struggled from the line. Malešević was precise 4 times in a row. The score was 68-65, but with his fourth in a row, Delaš put Zadar back to -1. Nikola Jevtović missed a free throw and a chance to secure a win, but Ivan Ramljak would be the one to shoulder the blame for his team's loss. 5 seconds before the end, on an inbound pass, he inexplicably sent the ball to the rival's side of the court, with none of his teammates anywhere in sight. Boris Bakic calmly drained his both free throws and settled the final score. Almost half of Zadar's field goals were from outside of the 6.75-meter line, but only 7 were on target. The players in the spotlight were Barac, who despite scoring 10 points also missed all 7 of his 3-point shots, and Glenn Cozy, who ended the match with 8 points, all of them from the free throw line, but missed all of his 11 field goals. Ante Delaš, on the other hand, was the bright spot with 25 points to his name. Malešević was the one who contributed the most to his team's victory with 17 points. Jevtović recorded 13 points and 11 rebounds, while Yoshilo had 10 points and 8 rebounds. Typhoon, the newcomer to the regional competition, ended a 5-game losing streak, beating Olimpija 73-59. The result was set when Dan Mihev's men won the third quarter 32-16. Both teams started off poorly with a lot of missed shots on both sides. Dragiša Drobnjak, Blaž Mahkovic and Zach Wright were few of the players who did manage to score some points. The first quarter ended with a 4-point lead for Olimpija. The second quarter was very much like the first. The players missed a number of straightforward opportunities. The game was so rough, the first 3-pointer wasn't scored until the 18th minute when Stanko Sebic finally got one through the rim. The least efficient half in the whole competition ended 24-23 and Olimpija was in the lead. The second half was the complete opposite. Players started to score points, but Typhoon was better at it. Dan Mihev's men scored 22 points during the first 6 minutes of the third quarter, only 1 point less than in the whole first half. They let the rival score only 8. By the end of the third quarter, Typhoon held the lead 55-40. In the final quarter, Gašper Potočnik's men tried to reduce the deficit, but the nearest they got was 7 points behind. At the end, Typhoon celebrated a well-earned victory, their third consecutive win over Olimpija. Most valuable players in the winning team were Sandi Čebular, who scored 16 points, and Dragiša Drobnjak, who finished the game with 12 points. For the visiting team, the only 2 players with points in double digits were Sava Lešić and Miha Lapornik with 14 and 11 points respectively. The MVP of the 9th round of ABA League is Ante Žižić. The young Cibona player contributed the most to the victory of his team that was hosted by Sutjeska and Nikšić. In 33 minutes he spent in the game, he scored 21 points, had 8 rebounds and 2 blocks, which was enough for value index of 30. Krka celebrated in Laktaši. Sinovic believed he will score some easy points, but Ivan Radenović had other plans. Everyone knows what a prolific scorer Jacob Pullen is, but he is also a great passer. Poland recorded 6 assists in Cedevita's win over Megalex. Zadar's winning streak came to an end in Valjevo, but Ivan Ramljak found himself at the 3rd spot on our list because of his excellent blocking skills. Typhoon ended their string of defeats overpowering Olympia, and the best player of this game belongs to Aleksandar Ponjevic. And back to Zagreb for the top spot, Bilan with the assist and Luka Babic with an excellent dunk. That is all for this edition of ABA League magazine. Next week, we will analyze the 10th round.